Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam Malaysia Madani, salam produktif. A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm Dayana from the Malaysia Productivity Corporation MPC, the moderator for today's productivity talk. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be discussing a critical and timely topic, potential in the global chip war, balancing challenges and opportunities in Malaysia's semiconductors industry. We are very fortunate to have our very distinguished champion of Electrical and Electronics Productivity Nexus, EEPN, and President of Malaysia Semiconductor Industry Association, who is also an expert in semiconductor industry trend and a prominent figure in Malaysia E&E sector, Dato Sri Wong Siew. Hi. Dato Sri, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Dato Sri, to start, could you provide an overview of the impact of the chip war on Malaysia's E&E industry, especially considering its significant role in the global semiconductor supply chain?
Okay, certainly, Malaysia is playing a pivotal role in the global semiconductor industry. To start, Malaysia started the semiconductor industry in 1972. Now it is 51 years old. In 1972, the export was only 230 million ringgit. Last year, in 2022, it was 593 billion ringgit, a significant growth through the years. From semiconductor, it expanded into EMS, it has gone into solar, LEDs, and many more, different types of industry, including automation, which are very strong in, and so on. So today, because of the pandemic and the chip war, a lot of Malaysians are expanding, Malaysian companies are expanding in the country, preparing for future growth. In addition to the growth in the semiconductor industry, the government has also attracted many new companies to enhance our ecosystem, such as substrate, such as fab equipment manufacturing, and so on. Now, with the chip war, it opens up new opportunities for the country. Many companies who are manufacturing in China are moving their products to Asia or to the rest of Southeast Asia. And Malaysia is one of the key countries that has benefited from this move. As a result, many companies have expanded in Malaysia and have been growing their manufacturing. As you know, Malaysia has 7% of global trade flowing through Malaysia. And not only that, the assembly and test manufacturing has 13% of the capacity located in Malaysia. As a result, Malaysia is a very critical hub for the global semiconductor supply chain.
Thank you for that overview, Dato Sri. Just now you mentioned about the opportunities for Malaysia. How about the challenges in its manufacturing capabilities? Could you elaborate on some of the specific challenges and what steps Malaysia can take to overcome them? And how can Malaysia strike a balance between addressing these vulnerabilities and capitalizing on the opportunities in the semiconductor industry?
One of the key challenges that Malaysia is facing is war on talent. As you know, every country around the world has shortage of talent. And everyone is trying to build their own talent to support the industry. But Malaysia is slightly different. We lose about 15 to 20% of our talent to other countries. That created a hole, and that hole needs to be filled. So how do we fill up that hole? And one of the ways is to train our people and encourage more of our students to pursue science and engineering. That way we can continue to have a supply line for the industry. However, it's not so easy to fill up that hole. And therefore, we also need to use a different strategy. And that strategy is to use other countries' talent, just like other countries are using our Malaysian talent. So if the government can allow foreign students studying in Malaysia to work in Malaysia for 2 years or 3 years before they apply for the proper employment pass, that will help to close the gap. In addition, maybe the government policy has been looked at to see how can we use foreign engineers, even though they are fresh graduates, to work in Malaysia. And that's what other countries are doing to our fresh graduates. So the concern then is, does that deprive Malaysian of a job? And if you look back into history, whether it's in US, Australia, England, Singapore, these do not deprive their citizens of a job. In fact, it has created more jobs for the country. So I might hire, let's say, 28 foreign engineers today. I have 50 jobs, but next year I might have 200 jobs. And I might hire another 10, 15 foreign engineers. But then I created a lot more, from 50 jobs to another 200 jobs. So that is what the strategy we got to use. And hopefully the government can change their policies to use this strategy to strengthen our talent in the country. The other challenge that we are facing is the dependency of foreign workers. How do we reduce this dependency? And one of the ways we came up with was the Academy in Factory. Today it is known as Academy in the Industry. We want to encourage more school leavers to join the factory and work on a program that give them 18 months of skill training and 3 months of classroom training. After that 18 months, and when they are successful, they become manufacturing technicians. It is having a career right in front of them. If you put in the effort for 18 months, you become a manufacturing technician where your career is improved and your wages increase. So that way we have developed skilled workers for the country and reduce our dependency on foreign workers. And that is the thrust I think Malaysia has to take to help the people of the country and join the industry and have a career in front of them.
Thank you, Dato Seri. Indeed, we need to have a strong talent pool to cater to the industry demands. And one of the strategies that you mentioned is to use other nations' talent to work in our country. But the thing is, how do we cater to the sentiment or the general sentiment that's saying, okay, these people are taking our job?
Yeah, as I explained earlier, it is when we get foreign talents to work in the country, we are not depriving Malaysians of a job. In fact, we don't have enough engineers and scientists. The number of students studying science and engineering in schools and universities are dropping every year. And we lose about 15 to 20% of our talent to other countries overseas. So there is a hole already. And therefore, we need to close that hole. So if we attract, foreign talent or foreign students studying in Malaysia in science and engineering to work in Malaysia, we don't deprive of the job because we create more jobs. Every year we are adding more engineers in our companies. So I give you an example. I started the design center in Intel in early 1990s. There was only less than 100 engineers. Today they have 4,000 to 6,000 engineers. So we are growing every year, and we are creating more jobs for our Malaysian engineers. So I see that as not in conflict. In fact, we are going to take on more high technology projects because we have the resources to support the project.
With that being said, Dato Seri, what productivity strategies that we can use to increase our nation's competitiveness?
It is important for Malaysia to be globally competitive. And how do we encourage productivity in the country? One is the adoption of Industry 4.0. We need the companies in Malaysia to embark on this journey. Not just embark on this journey, but to implement all these Industry 4.0 productivity programs. And therefore, we need to improve the skills of the people as well as to implement digital solutions in every aspect of the organization. So, by doing this, we can increase productivity, get the mindset change, increase skills of people to enable Malaysia to be globally competitive. Once we are globally competitive, we can attract more investment, we can grow our industry and be important and be very important to the whole supply chain.
That's an interesting perspective, Dato Seri. Finally, as we wrap up our discussion, what opportunities do you see for Malaysia to expand its operation in the E&E industry to meet the growing demands for chips?
Good question. The opportunities are a lot. You know, the forecast of the semiconductor industry is going to double by 2030. Last year, the global semiconductor revenue is 550 billion. It is forecasted that by 2030, it will be $1 trillion US dollars, which means that last year, Malaysia's export is 593 billion ringgit. To keep up with the pace of the semiconductor growth, Malaysia has to ship or export 1.2 trillion ringgit. That means the opportunities are huge. Today, we are strong in assembly and test. Therefore, we will continue to expand assembly and test to support that growth. However, the whole world, you know, especially the US, Taiwan, and Korea, they are building more fabs. All these fabs, the wafer fabs that they build, need to be supported by assembly and test. So, number one, we expand our assembly and test to support that growth in wafer fabs. Two is that we are encouraging the government and working with the government to attract wafer fabs, FDIs into the country so that we can enhance our supply chain. And number two is to encourage more design and development, especially in IC design. And not just IC design services, but also do IC design of products so that we can develop products, IC products for the world. I think time and the opportunity is now. Because of the geopolitical tension, there is opportunity for us to service the market of the two largest world economy, one in China, one for the US. The opportunity is here for us to participate.
Well, thank you, Dato Sri, for your valuable insights into the implication opportunities for Malaysia, especially in the global chip war. It's clear that Malaysia has a crucial role to play in the evolving semiconductor landscape. Your vision for the future is very inspiring, and it highlights the importance of adaptability and innovation in the semiconductor industry. So we appreciate your expertise and participation in this discussion.
Thank you very much.
To end today's productivity talk session, let us watch this video on celebrating Malaysia's E&E 50th anniversary. Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone.
Time has a way of sneaking up on us and catching us unaware. It has now been 50 years. In 1972, the first series of relatively unknown multinational companies took the leap of faith and invested in Malaysia. Together with the Malaysian people, they launched a new manufacturing segment nationwide, the semiconductor industry. Today, 50 years on, Malaysia is now an integral part of the semiconductor and E&E global supply chain. The act of pioneering is never easy. The semiconductor business was cyclical and volatile. People had concerns that these companies were fly-by-night companies. Come today, gone tomorrow. There were plenty of challenges in the early days, yet perseverance prevailed. Minds were changed and convinced, a testament to the unwavering tenacity of the pioneers. The world of E&E industry opened up new horizons and endless possibilities. Once agricultural fields, now high-tech industry zones and home to a cluster of multinational corporations and homegrown Malaysian companies. A fertile ground for the E&E industry, Malaysia offers the right climate for businesses to thrive. Strategic location, good infrastructure, local and overseas educated talents with strong command in English, cultural melting pot, business-friendly government. Just a few reasons why Malaysia is the right place for the E&E industry to flourish and advance with the right investments. As multinational corporations continue to move up the value chain, they are also elevating the development of local suppliers, many of which have gone global. Today, we have a robust, vibrant, and thriving E&E ecosystem. As a new dawn emerges, each day is a fresh opportunity to break barriers and push new boundaries in the world of technology. Thanks to a strong government support, the semiconductor and E&E industry has soared and excelled beyond imagination. This journey, spanning 5 decades, has paved the way for the industry to continue to make its mark as a critical hub in the global supply chain. Over the past 50 years, the semiconductor industry has grown and thrived in Malaysia. Now, for the next 50 years, they will continue to transform and innovate for the future generation.
E&E, propelling the future.
To the E&E industry, happy 50th anniversary.